sun, baby, it's time to go. All we need to put on is the radio. I can feel the heat is rising, and that beat is hypnotizing. Oh, no, we run the show. Let's get loud, come on, lose control. Got to live or we get too old. Come on, shine, shine a little tonight. Let's get louder, come on, lose control. Ain't no limit while we go for gold. We can shine, shine a little tonight. Shine a little tonight. Shine a little Let's hit the club, time to make a move, we got it late, ain't got nothing to prove, I can feel the heat is rising, and that beat is hypnotizing. Oh, no, we run the show. Let's get louder, come on, lose control. Got to live or we get too old. Come on, shine, shine a little tonight. Let's get louder, come on, lose control. Ain't no limit while we go for gold. We can shine, shine a little tonight. Shine a little tonight. Shine a little tonight. Oh, shine a little tonight. Oh yeah, we can shine, shine a little tonight. We can shine, shine a little tonight. Shine a little tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nate Manahan, and I am here in Indianapolis, Indiana on a beautiful, okay, it's not so beautiful outside, it's rainy and a little bit cool here, but it is Halloween, and it is time for us all to take off our masks. It is time for us all to make sure that we are going to celebrate Halloween 2024 in the best way possible, and today we're going to unmask how you get approvals and how you get declines here at PayProTec. We're going to try to be as clear, as transparent as we possibly can. Nothing is 100%. We're not going to take 6 hours. We're going to take about 20 minutes or so, and we're going to bring in the best trainers in the world. The first one I'm going to bring in, and those of us who dressed up in costumes are going to get to go last. The one who didn't dress up in a costume is me. The one who also didn't dress up in a costume is Mr. Mike Stetzel. Mike, how are you, sir? Mike, you're muted. There we go. See, Mike? Still muted. Still don't hear you. Something.
I'm jinxed now by not wearing a costume.
There you are. I hear you now. Look, I hear you. There you go. Mike, how are you, sir?
I'm jinxed by that, evidently, by not wearing a costume. I'm not a fan. It's not my favorite holiday. I'm glad I'm here. And let's roll and show our best participant of the day.
Yep. So from Colorado, the person who has the most Halloween spirit, who is ready to go out and hand out candy to all the wonderful children of the world, especially those of Colorado, Mrs. Jenny Rickle. Jenny, how are you? Oh, hey, we've got you all on screen. Hey, she is actually glowing there with a little bit of a cool look there. How are you, Jenny? You're at least wearing something. I
I
don't know how much time you
love
put into
Halloween.
it,
This is
but
actually a cool little thing because it like zips up. So
there.
it's cold in Colorado. It actually snowed yesterday, so it's nice to have a warm
Uh,
Halloween outfit. It's like a requirement in Colorado. You have to have a Halloween outfit that is warm when it's snowing outside.
Yep.
But I love
Well,
it.
I'm glad you dressed up. And for those who are watching this in the future, as you're learning about approvals and declines here in the PayProTec Nation, you can remember this was recorded in 2024, and the only cool person that dressed up was Jenny Rickle. And that's all you need to remember. Now, this is what we're going to talk about. And let's see if I get this right. I zoomed in, so I'm not showing. This is one particular agent who submitted a couple deals. You can see on the 29th and on the 31st. And here's what I'm saying. What we want to do, this person actually didn't have any declines. So I didn't, let's see. Yeah, I don't see any declines. I've got a pending and proof. But we want to unmask how this all looks, how you get to approved status. We want you to go green. We don't want you to be stuck in the red, which is declined. We don't want you to be in that yellow pending. We don't want you the blue approved conditional. We want you to get to the green. But in order to get to the green, we want to talk about a little bit about what the process looks like. So I'm going to start with this question, and this is what I love to do with our trainers. I didn't tell them what I'm going to ask them. This is going to be fun. So we're going to find out who has answers first. Is there a difference of getting to an approval when you do a paper application and you send it to apps@payprotec.com and we take care of all of it in the back end versus you use our simplified enrollment or online enrollment tools, our app submit tools? Is there a difference of how the process works in getting to the different stages of approval?
I buzzed in.
All right,
Go
buzz.
ahead, Mike.
I know I need to create a buzzer, don't I? There you go, Mike.
There is no difference how it's handled through underwriting or any of those things. The difference is when you send that to our team, they're humans, and that's who's putting in your deals. Number one, there's going to be a time delay from if you had put that application in sitting right at your desk versus sending it over and one of our team gets to it and maybe it's 5 o'clock Pacific time. We're going to get it the next morning, basically. So there is no difference in the way it's handled for underwriting or any of those things. There may just be a little physical gap in time as to when it is submitted. So that's
So,
the answer you're looking for.
yep. Well, and I think that, the other thing I always point out in the our goal is to get you to go green and get you approved. Our ultimate goal is to get you activated. It can go significantly faster when you use the online enrollment. And you're going to see less of the blue and the yellow than you do when you use a paper application versus when you do, or you're going to see less of it when you use the whole digital application because there's so many things they can do to be able to do those checks without having before they get put in. But Jenny, can you kind of walk us through? We've talked about the approval. We have multiple stages that you're going to see among your merchants when you're doing. You have the approved, you have approved conditional, you have a pending, you have withdrawn, you have declined. Am I missing any? And then you have closed ones.
There's enrollment when you first submit it,
Oh, when
but
first. Okay,
it's
there you
not
go.
common
Yep.
to see that because it usually either jumps right to pending or approved from that stage.
Yeah. But can you kind of walk us through those stages?
Yeah, absolutely. So enrollment is the first stage that you'll see when you first submit it, and then it goes to our underwriting team for review. The next step is going to be pending, approved, or conditional approved. Pending is just going to signify that our underwriting team is reviewing it. They're going through and making sure the business is valid. They're checking addresses, phone numbers, things like that. So from there, it'll go to approved or conditional approved or declined. Like Nate was showing on the screen, we don't see declined very often. So typically when there's a decline, it's for a very big reason, right? So an approval is the green, going to be in the green circle, and that just means everything's good to go. We're going to ship out their equipment. They can begin processing. If you see a conditional approval, that's going to be in the blue circle. That means that everything is good to go from our side, except there's some additional information that can be verified at a later point. This is typically a bank account information, identity verification, or an email address. So the business checked out, everything's good. We're able to verify that, hey, the business is A-okay. So we'll proceed with shipping out the equipment, getting them up and running, but they won't receive any deposits until whatever is missing can be resolved. So that's what that conditional means. It's a temporary funding hold. The merchant receives an email. You as a sales partner will receive an email, and you can actually see the status in the Payments Hub portal as well. So we are very communicative if somebody is missing some information that we need in order to receive funding. So definitely keep your eyes open for the conditional approvals. Further information is needed so the merchant can get their deposits.
Yeah, because I think what happens is we don't want people to be surprised. You're looking for the green, but if the blue happens, your work isn't done yet. You got to go find out what that is. Mike, what's the most common thing that the partner needs to still do with the merchant to be able to get the blue go to green so they can actually start processing and get deposits?
It is supplying a copy of a voided check just to officially say, yep, this checking account is attached to this business. There are times when it's not in our database or it's a brand new account. That's probably the biggest reason we see you get that done. In the meantime, you're providing the documentation. The terminal is being programmed and shipped anyway because it is in that blue conditional approval status.
So let's talk about specifically a little bit what some things could tie into getting into that more of the pending, and then what we don't want to see is that declines. What are the things that are most common that cause declines? Jenny, you want to start with this?
Yeah, what I typically see about that is the business has a hit on their credit with another processor. So they've been put on a list where we won't process with them. It's typically due to heavy chargebacks or a loss from somebody else. But just keep in mind that processors will place merchants on a list. So that's really why I see it. You guys out there as sales partners, you really have a good judgment of, okay, what kind of businesses would be acceptable versus what might not be. But a true decline, I either see it's because of a collections issue, they had a different processor with another ISO and they got flagged, or again, heavy chargeback, something happened with where they're processing credit cards previously and they're placed on the list that we won't be able to board them.
And I think as the most part, I don't know the percentages because I don't know if we track it this way because we don't ask you how you got your lead and how your lead generation as a partner. But a good portion, at least anecdotally for me, is these are people that are not present in the sales process. Maybe you're doing online marketing, maybe you're doing phone calls, maybe that, and you were taken advantage of as the partner and probably told a story that probably wasn't 100% true. And you don't always know what happened. And they're trying to jump to another processor because they don't realize there's a thing called a match list, and we're sharing it across all these processors, and it's not going to be able to happen. Now, there may be, but speeding up the process of approval, making sure that you hit the ownership quota is important, Mike. What is that? How does that, making sure you have all the owners that actually need to speak on behalf of that business? Why is that important, getting that approval?
So it's been several years now, but they were called FinCEN regulations that came along after 9/11 and are concerned with knowing everybody that's involved with the business and just being aware of that. So if your particular owner you're talking to owns less than 76% of the business, we need the additional partners to make up to that at least 76% ownership. So again, if I'm the owner and I own 25% and I just sign the application for you and send it in, there's a really good chance that's going to cause a pend to say, hey, we're looking for the rest of the owners. We can see the way your corporation's set up that you, Mr. Stetzel, own 25%. We need the rest of the people to also sign this application and supply their information to us. So it's important to establish that ahead of time. Going into the application, Mr. Merchant, it's a question right on there. How much do you own of this business? And it's not something that just slips by anymore.
Well, and I say it this way. Yes, we have real people trying to make real decisions as underwriting and risk teams to be able to approve these merchants. But at the start of the process, it is our government overlords and their understanding the technology that starts the process. And you've got to get through that gauntlet first before the real people can look at it. And if you put in, if somebody says I own 60% and they really only own 10%, it's going to get caught. It just is. And sometimes, most of the databases are so up to date that they're not even going to get to the next stage. They're not even going to, underwriting's not even going to consider, they're going to be flagged right away. we still are going to see sometimes that it may get through, and then risk is going to flag it because suddenly they take a second look at it and they're like, the bank is like, hey, no, the signature over here is not enough ownership to be able to make this decision as a financial decision. So these are all things we want to do to make sure, because we want to get green. And the other thing we want to do is I love this about our system. I scrolled down. I had to go on this particular agent. I had to go down to 1017, which wasn't all that long ago, where I found a person that they brought in 2 weeks ago to be a merchant, and they were approved. And what does that yes mean, Jenny? What's that yes there?
They're activated. They are up and processing. So I love the Payments Hub portal because it'll give you a view if they've actually started utilizing their business, right? Utilizing the services with us and up and processing. You saw some other numbers next to that as well. So yes means activated, and then the numbers will identify how long it's been since they have been activated, like how many days they're running without utilizing their new terminal. So the Payments Hub, gosh, right there in that Merchants tab, there's such a lot of information to make sure that the merchant is approved, that they're up and running, getting going to get the ball rolling and get some residuals in.
Yeah. I think, go ahead, Mike, go.
Could we put just a small plug in real quick for some improvements in the partner portal with that list of merchants? There's now an area where you can choose what type of merchants you see. Many people have asked for this. I don't want to see my closed merchants anymore. They're just in my way. Great. You don't have to see them anymore. Well, I don't want to see this type. Anyway, there's a little checkbox. It's just a quick hint. It's now something you can do.
Yep. And if you want to get taught, I'm not going to do it live because I wasn't set up to do that, because I am looking actually at a live account that I would have to zoom out and show personal information that I don't want to have on people's accounts. But the tool, and I would say, here, I'm waiting. Somebody who has a call center or a team of sub agents or something, put up in their office, green and yes. Green and yes. Why is that? Because you got to get to the green for the approved, and you got to get to the yes that they're processing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we make money in this industry, in case you're wondering. So get to that green, get to the yes. That's how we roll. We unmask it all here on Halloween 2024. What else? We talked a little bit about making sure you don't go after prohibitive merchants. And you can go to PayProTec.com, or we call it the restricted and prohibited list. I actually have it up here. You can go and download it. Restricted or prohibited merchants. Can you kind of walk us through? I'm not going to go through all 12 pages, but making sure you might, with PayProTec, there are other high risk. There are people that focus just on this, but we're a mid to low risk, and our banks are now allowing us to go after some things, but making sure that we can actually do the business with them is important to begin with too. Jenny, how do you train our people in that?
I just say make sure to go ahead and look at the details. If we don't provide the necessary information for the merchants that are labeled as restricted, right, then they're going to go right into pending. So this is a good gauge so you can have a faster approval turnaround time. If you're wondering what kind of they fall into a category of restricted or prohibited, see what they need. Like, for example, guns and ammunition, we're going to need some additional bank statements and their firearms license, right? So, and there's that list. I think, Nate, when you pull it up, it's large. It's pages and pages. So we have a lot of information there, but it's going to be really good for you as a sales partner to be upfront and say, okay, I need X, Y, and Z in order to submit this application, and that way we can get it approved much more quickly.
Yep. You just find it right there at mypayprotec.com. I just search prohibited and it pops right up. I'm not even sure in the menu structure because I just love to search things, go fast. Our goal at PayProTec is to get your merchants up and running, to make sure that you don't ever have to do mea culpas to your merchants. It's not always perfect, but if you set those expectations up ahead of time, and you're 100% honest, your merchant may not be. That's certainly something up there, but you're going to get these merchants up and running, processing, get their equipment, get their software all up there and going, and that is what we want. Green and yes. As we close out today and we unmask the declines and the approvals, is there anything I've missed in the approval and decline process and that is important for our partners to be aware of?
I don't have anything. You got anything, Mike?
I love the green and yes. I've never really picked up on the two terms. I'm ashamed, but glad I have it now. I'm going to use it.
Hey,
it's true.
I did not
Green
trademark it. So
green's great, but if you see 30 in that there instead of yes, you're not making any money.
And that's what I love. And make it a game, because I love that we put the numbers there, because you're like, hey, I don't want to ever see our number go past. And if you're doing POS versus terminal, there's different, you're not going to get something. But man, when can we get, I don't want to see a 7 on this emergent. I want to, how fast can I get these up? Because again, how do we make money? When they're making money and we're depositing in their accounts. That's how we
Green
make
and
money.
yes.
Green and yes. So,
Yeah.
all right, we're going to let our beautiful skeleton from Glenwood Springs, Colorado, give us the closing and final word for Halloween 2024. Jenny Rickle, what say you?
Halloween, you guys, don't be afraid to get out there, right? And to get those approvals and get the merchants activated. So as you start utilizing the Payments Hub portal, online applications are going to be the fastest way to get them through to us. Make sure you keep an eye on your portal to see if they're pending approved or conditional approved, and then make sure they're activated. Green and yes, check it out.
I love it. On behalf of Jenny Rickle, Mike Stetzel, I'm Nate Manahan. We'll see you next time on Office Hours. Bye,
guys.
everybody.